Hey guys, Adrian here for the Digital Dojos, and I just got done watching the full coverage of the Microsoft Surface keynote. As you guys know, this was something that was released a couple days ago, and I still actually have my iPad first generation back there with the a clock application open up. That is actually going to be either sold or donated to something as I pick up my iPad 3 here shortly in the coming days. Anyways, and this is about Microsoft's tablet or Microsoft Surface that was released recently. And so if you haven't seen the keynote or if you haven't seen any pictures or anything of that sort, this is more of an overview and a little bit of my thoughts on it. If you want to get more technical opinions and more technical thoughts, I highly suggest you check out Mr. Bit10. His video on he did a bit on Surface, and is definitely something to check out. His video on it, very very well informed, etc. All right, so Ballmer came out at the keynote and he talked a lot about how they are now integrating software and hardware together. Taking the two ties and integrating it together, much like with the iPhone and Apple's and the iPad and the Macintosh. Apple's very famous for being a hardware and software company. They're very tight-wounded in their products, much like Microsoft is with this release of the new Surface. And we've heard talking about the Surface before. A big table. We've seen that prototype and that being integrated in restaurants and stuff like that, where we have a huge table surface that has touch capability, has Windows-like features in it, has all these great applications. But again, it's something out of the price range. They were talking about bringing Windows and with Windows 8 making a big bang in the market, not necessarily just to beat out all the competition, but for something to make have Windows 8 have its headway, to make it more monumental. And with this tablet coming into the tablet market, it's definitely a big move for Microsoft, since this is one of their first tablets they've ever introduced. Now there's two versions. There's one that's going to be retailing for Windows RT, specifically on the ARM processor and stuff like that, and then they're also going to have a Windows 8 Pro version with the Core i5, Intel, etc. So they're going to have a couple of different versions of the Surface, or within the Surface family here. Again, the Surface itself, technical specs wise, it is thin. It's running at, I think, 9.3 millimeters. It has a USB 2.0 port on it. It is a beveled design. It's made out of magnesium, and a very famous material called Vapor Mag, which he talks a lot about in the keynote. How it is feathered. It's feathered light. It's about 1.5 pounds. Very thin, like I said. Vapor Mag allows it to have very very thin capabilities. Like, it has a latch that can out extend, and you'll see pictures of this as I go along here. Out extend to act as a stand. So it has a built-in stand that is, I think, like 0.3 millimeters thin. Really really thin because of this material, again, this Vapor Mag like material, which allows it to be very thin and have these really nice parts, like the hinge on the casing and all that, and allowing it to be very very protective, scratch resistant, all of that stuff. It's like three millimeters thin is the stand itself. Now with the stand, it also introduces their what they're calling their cover, or their not necessarily a smart cover, but very very smart cover esque. Their cover for the Microsoft Surface is that which attaches like an iPad 2 or iPad 3 smart cover through magnets. But what they've done here, like, I admire their change in it, because much like if they just made a cover that stuck to it and everybody would say it's just like a smart cover. What they did is they added they have two versions. They have a tactile keyboard on one, and they have a touch type, more like a pressure sensitive type of keyboard built in. And I really really like that idea of the pressure sensitive keyboard, and it has a trackpad and everything. And the pressure sensitive keyboards and the tactile keyboards, from what I've heard, are really really nice. And again, they're really really thin, and they fit nicely with the Microsoft Surface. And then again, just like Apple, it's released in kind of that multiple color scheme. Now, necessarily, it shouldn't be always. See, the problem with now is a lot of people are trying to compare stuff with the iPad or the iPhone. It's always kind of set as the benchmark kind of scale, because these are iPad, iPhone are really really great products, no doubt. But everybody always compares a new product like the Surface, whether or not it'll be the iPad killer or the iPhone killer. And I'm kind of looking at it more from a neutral angle, as Microsoft's first step into the tablet platform. It's now introducing also a clear type display, so it's a really vivid display. It has some, like I said, the Core i5 in some of the models. It's also featuring a 10.6-inch screen, so bigger screen than the iPad traditional screen. And it's starting at $399, so around roughly about the price for the iPad. And these ones are starting so a little bit cheaper, but they are going to be featuring models like in 32 gigabyte size, 64 gigabyte size, and even as much as I believe 128 gigabytes around there. So the Pro versions can go even higher in terms of storage. Now, what makes these tablets so unique? Obviously, they're going to have the Metro UI built on top of them. The software, like I said, is much integrated with the hardware in these versions. So it has that Metro UI interface where you can browse through, you can use the photos, you can also, though, interact with the desktop environment that everybody is so used to. Now, this is where Microsoft kind of comes in because, everybody's familiar with that Windows interface. That's what they have going for them. So many people use Windows because it's that market leader. So you can be filming you can be videotaping a meeting or a whatever you're taking notes on while you have Microsoft Office open up on the side there. They have the Pro versions that are even strong enough with the Core i5s to run applications like Photoshop and stuff like that. So in terms of content creation and stuff like that, you have a full desktop and full set of Windows applications available to your disposal with much more storage offered on these Pro versions than you would get on, let's say 64 gigabyte iPad, etc. These are expected to be dropping around the holiday season, I believe, for the Windows 8 version, just because obviously that's around the time where Windows 8 will be fully released and all that, and holiday sales always tend to go up around, obviously the season of Christmas, etc. But overall, my thoughts, the Surface is a really, really awesome tablet. What I like a lot about it is some of the features that they took design and, they designed it very nice in terms of how it cools with this like kind of ventilated shaft that it has going, and the thinness in terms of the actual screen to responsiveness. It's very, very thin. I believe they were talking about how they cut down a lot of layers so that when using a stylus, because it comes with a stylus that kind of just snaps on, you can literally, it's like you're drawing on the screen. It's like your pen is actually making contact, much like with a paper or a pen in a book. The screen layers are very, very thin in that it's very, very easy to write on and take notes on the actual tablet, and you can see this in the keynote, etc. So they took a lot of design things into key. Everything looks pretty decent. It has a USB, has a HDMI, so it has some ports that again other tablets are very much lacking in. And they tried to go for a much more simpler approach with the whole design and everything. And overall, it's really great. The covers are great. All of that's great. It has some great features. There was some slip ups during the keynote, especially because this is one of their first, releasing a new product, and it was much more very, very secretive sort of keynote. There was definitely some slip ups. They had to use a backup Surface and all that. And again, I guess this is just to be expected as the product just came out. But it doesn't have that fluidity that iOS has and offers. Definitely. I haven't seen this, hands on. I haven't got to try it out, but I've seen a lot of research, and definitely it's going to be something that is going to be in the works, and it's Microsoft's first step at this tablet game. But it's very much something I hope to get my hands on as soon as it gets out. I hope to take a look at, along with my new iPad 3 that's coming in, or the new iPad. Definitely a competitor in the market overall, not just towards the iPad overall. This is going to bring Windows and the Metro UI into a pretty decently sized hardware tablet PC, where they're calling it many things. So the Surface is definitely a big competitor to come. It has a lot to offer in terms of what Microsoft is putting in with the hardware and software. They're looking to control the market overall with this product. So definitely something to look forward to. Again, the Microsoft Surface. Love to hear what you guys think. I'm going to be doing a complete write-up and post over at digitaldojos.com, so head over there to check out the full write-up. And of course, DojoCast, my podcast, weekly podcast on the Tech News Roundup, is coming up, where we'll be talking about the Microsoft Surface in more depth. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I will see you all later.